Hey guys, welcome to another ride in the struggle bus where every wheel is an empty triangle. Today we have our next bus ride for you, and we are playing against an OGS 12K today. I decided that I'm going to shift more towards the double-digit Q range for two reasons. One, I really need to acknowledge that if this video is for double-digit Q players, that I really should be playing double-digit Q players. I don't know how helpful it is for my target audience if a single digit Q player is playing against another single digit Q player and doing variations and exchanges that you guys aren't seeing in your games. So we need to embrace some of the wackiness that we're seeing in double digit Q games, and so I've decided to play against double digit Q players. It's also worth pointing out that I learned very quickly, these games are trickier than I thought they were going to be, and playing against stronger players, it's actually getting me into some trouble. And so by playing double-digit Q players, I really should be able to just purely focus on the basics and not having to do any complications, and just show that the basics can get us there. So hopefully you see that with this game, and enjoy this one. So let's get to the game. Okay, so our game has started. So we are going to stick to the basics on this one. We are playing against a 12K on OGS, and so we are just going to keep things simple. We're going to follow the rules that we've got on the left of the screen there, and we will explain things as we go. So he approached, we're just going to do a simple back off, and if he does slide in, I'm going to respond with the Joseki that you guys are likely familiar with. So he does slide, so I'll respond and play this, and I expect him to come back to L17, which he does. And at this point, we can look at going after this corner or this corner. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go approach the 3-4 stone. I like splitting up their sides, but you could have approached this 4-4 stone with any of your typical approaches there, and it would have been fine. So he's going to go this way. We're going to Hane. I expect him to pull back. We will connect. He'll probably go F17, but he should probably come high in this one, because notice he has a lot of third line stones anyway, and he does come back high. So this is, I'm happy to see this here. So I'm just going to extend here, because we've got our rule to balance our early stones between the third and fourth line. Since he already had a third line stone and a third line stone and a third line stone, if this one had been the typical third line stone, it just would have been a little too flat on top. And he does kind of a strange extension off of the 4-4 stone. You would typically expect a knight's move, and so he's enforced his corner. We'll enforce ours, and we're just gonna keep it simple. We're gonna do a small knight's enclosure here. And so this is a strange approach, right? We still have plenty of sides open. We have plenty of third and fourth line moves that we can still do. So this is a little too center, right? We've still got both these sides open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to respond to this move, and I'm going to respond here, kind of like a reverse shoulder hit. See if we can push out on the fourth line. If he goes up, we will follow. If he goes left, we will follow. If he threatens to cut, we will block. So he is threatening to cut. We are going to protect our cuts. And he pushes, which turns on this cut, so we are also going to push. And he is coming back here, and we're just going to follow him and play a nice simple move. And this helps secure a really large corner. So unfortunately, with black playing a central move, he is going to get good influence out of this, but it doesn't actually do too much for him right now, right? The center is going to be tough to get. He then does play a nice side move. So we can look at either going for this corner, going for this side, going for this side. And what I'm going to do, so in this situation, I know you guys are looking at this and going, oh, this is looking like it could get pretty big, but this is also looking like it can get pretty big, right? If we look at this right side, it's actually larger than this. So we can look at reducing this, but we can also just look at increasing our own potential, right? If you look at this is looking just as scary as this lower area. So he follows this up, and he is threatening to cut here. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to protect the cut here, and he pulls back. And at this point, this is looking tough to invade. So we don't need to invade it. We can just reduce this later. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to play here to make sure that he can't get too much of a big corner here. Again, balancing our third line stones with our fourth line stones, right? We've got 1, 2, 3 fourth line stones here. So coming on the third line keeps our stones nice and balanced. Also, it's a stronger approach on this stone. If he ignores this, we can then slide in on the second line and really threaten to minimize his corner. So he is now protecting his corner. So it's worth pointing out it's very possible that D2 still works here, but that's a little advanced for what we're looking at. So for now, let's just go poke in a little bit, right? Let's make sure that this doesn't get too big on us, and we can just play right here. This stone will be tough to contain, so he'll probably get a little bit of territory here, a pretty big corner, but it's not going to be enough to trade off for what we got on the right side here. So he attaches to us, right? And normally we don't want to attach to a weak stone, right? Because we're going to be able to get too much strength off of it, and that's still the case here. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you a nice little, trick that we can use. Not trick, it's a strategy. So when he attaches, what we're going to do is we're going to Hane on one of the sides, and we're going to be aiming on giving up that stone. And so typically you want to Hane on the side that you don't care about. We want to get into his corner, so we're going to Hane on the side that we do not care about. So if he plays here to block our connection, which I assume he's going to do, he does not. So backing it up, if he had blocked here, we can Atari, he can come down, and then we can connect, and this threatens to get into the corner, and it threatens to kill these two stones, so he has to do this, and then we can do something like this to get into the corner. With what he did, though, now we get to connect up, which was our threat, and so he didn't block that threat, and so we're going to connect. And so now his corner is bigger, but now these three stones are going to be in trouble because they're probably not alive anymore. And if you notice, we still also have this weak group. And so he's going to have two weak groups next to each other. So in this situation, he's looking to connect back up. Unfortunately, we have a cut here that we can take, and we have a cut here that we can take. So this is a situation where we can play through here. Right? If we play here and he blocks, we can cut here. And he's not going to be able to do anything to that stone, and so we're most likely going to kill this group or kill this group. But we still have this group, which isn't the strongest, so let's take care of our weak group. And we're just going to play here. We're going to jump out this way to get this group a little more into the center, because it's possible if we try to attack this and the fight goes this way, then our group gets surrounded. And so here, he probably should have just connected at N5, because we can still cut through. But we do not need to do that right now. We are still fully safe. This group, is it safe? I don't know, it's a little tough to tell if that's safe. So we want to know what, let's take this Hane, just to make sure that our group is extra safe. And then we can move on to another part of the board. So here he's threatening to separate those two stones. I want to keep them because we do still have this cut, right? So, and he does protect his cut eventually. So his group is likely fine. My group is likely fine. Our corner is fine. So let's go look at the next big area of the board, which looks like the top. And we've got a really large span between these two stones. So if we play something like this, again, this stone is also going to be difficult to contain, right? Because this is a really big area. These stones aren't going to be able to stop this. I do like this response where he jumps out, and he jumps out really quick. Typically, you can follow the speed of your opponent when he does something like this, because you'll have more weaknesses when you jump out this far, but he's also got the same kind of weaknesses, so we'll just match. And now he plays a very central move. We're still kind of jockeying for position on the sides, right? And so this is just, kind of a random stone in the center. We really want to avoid moves like this, right? There's still my side, which is just as easily invaded as this was. My guess is he's a little nervous to invade it, and that's fine. We've still got this side that we need to do something about. We still have this side, right? And so this is just too central. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow up these stones and press in on his group a little bit. So he threatens to cut. We are just going to connect. Make sure we protect our cuts. And he is threatening to cut, so we are going to connect. We're going to protect our cuts. And now we're nice and strong. These groups are fully separated, but they're, both of those groups are fine by themselves. But now, that might not be the case, because we can go and destroy his base. And so, what I'm going to do now is, I'm going to do some light attacking. I'm going to look at pressing this group, and then look at pressing this group. And I'm going to do that in reverse order. We're going to go press on this group first. This is threatening to surround while also building up our right-hand side. And the reason I could get away with this was we were already out, right? And we had a way to connect to some stones over here, which it looks like he's going to cut off. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump out. Make sure we stay ahead and we do not get surrounded. We are not aiming to kill these stones. I'm just aiming to make them weaker with a move like this. And so it'll be tougher for him to attack this group because of how strong it is, and it's next to one of his weak groups. So he's likely going to also have to come out to connect up here, because if we surround him, he may have trouble living there. Though I was just going to say, he does have R18 to get some pretty easy life there. So the question is, do we want to play a small second line move, or do we want to play something bigger? And I think we can play something bigger on this board. And in this case, ironically, I'm going to play another second line move. I'm going to play one that I think is bigger. Because we need to make sure, now that he's got this stone here, that, a move like this is a little, potentially a little tougher to deal with. But now that we've got 3 stones here, it'll be easier. Fortunately, he answers with our namesake shape here, the empty triangle. And remember, when our opponents play it, it's the empty triangle. When we play it, it's the power triangle. Big difference there. And so now I'm gonna keep on pressuring this group, and I'm gonna give him just a little nudge. I think just a little nudge that he probably needs to watch out. If he lets me cap him here, then he's going to be fully surrounded, and he's going to have trouble dealing with that. So he does correctly jump out. And now we can look at poking into his shape here. Right, just kind of gently nudging at his shape points while we are actively building up our right side. And so now that he's nice and strong and connected, we don't want to be surrounded, right? We have to make sure that we're staying out ahead. And he's getting these stones here, so he's kind of getting a little ahead of us. So let's jump out again, and we'll connect up with this other group that was just kind of lingering in the middle of the board. And again, I was talking about just, poking at his shape and attacking. The goal is never to kill this group. We're just looking to get a profit, which in this case you can kind of see how we built up the profit there. We will connect here. And we will connect here as well. But the way we're going to do it, we can look at this peep, but we'll just keep it simple. We will just connect. We've got this big stick that really isn't doing too much, but it did break up his top side, and that was the whole intent. So he's attached to this stone. When you get attached, you can either extend or hane. We're going to hane on this side to attempt to connect up to this group. And so he has cross-cut us, which is an interesting choice. We can just play here and capture the stone. We can play here to Atari the stone and connect up. And you know, it's a tricky choice. That's a tricky choice on what we want to do here. But in this situation, I'm going to Atari this side. And we can play here, and we'll be able to extend when he Ataris. So it looks like he actually got us a little bit here. We can look at this, but he's going to be able to Atari and get out. So we played this, and he unfortunately Atari'd on the wrong side. If he had Atari'd here, we would have had to have played up, and then he could have Atari'd and gotten out. And what I mean by that is, when we played here, he could have played this, and even Atari'd a second time, and then done this to capture this stone, and then we're cut off, and we're not in great shape. We would be able to connect up, you know, he'd capture, and we'd be okay, but it would have been a little hairy. So here we're going to connect, and what we're going to do is we're just going to come out this way to try to get that stone. Unfortunately, this takes a little bit of reading. We got caught a little bit with getting cut off here, but his shape again has the same as ours does. So we can push through here, and then we're just gonna push through. With the cuts that he had, he would not have been able to contain the stone. So now we're just gonna run towards one of our two living groups. I really like this move. I really, really, really like this move. It attaches to a nice strong stone, which we want to respond to, while also potentially blocking this. I like this move quite a bit. So what we are going to do is go see if we can connect up to this stone here. And he says no, so we're going to go connect up to this stone. And unfortunately, I think he needed to come up here because there's nothing he can do to cut this off. So what we're going to do is we're just going to extend, because we are connected here through our diagonal. If he cuts us off here, then we can connect. And so he's coming back to try to connect up, but this stone wasn't worth saving. Remember, we don't need to save every stone. And so this stone was not worth saving. White is fully alive now, and so we do not need to respond to this. And so what I'm going to do is just play this Hane. I've been eyeing this one for a little bit. And then we're going to come back and play B7 to make sure that there's nothing that can go on here. I'm not sure the intent of this move, right? We played this to threaten to come in over here, and he didn't block that. So we should probably follow this move up, right? We played this move for a reason, and he didn't block it. So let's just jump. Let's just do a 1-point jump. There are many options that we could do. We could have done a monkey jump. The only reason I didn't do a monkey jump is that it wasn't going to end in Sente, which I know from reading, right? If I play this, he's going to end up getting a stone at D19, and I'm not going to be able to play D18. This cut, unfortunately, is not going to work because we have the ladder, right? Which is why we extended here. I didn't mention it at the time, but extending gives us the ladder. So at this point, this game's pretty much over, right? Black's going to have a small corner, a big corner, and a small side, and a little something here. We have a huge right side and a fairly large left side as well. And a lot of this came down to the fact that he just had a few too many weak groups that we were able to capitalize on. Though, again, he did catch us here, so there was absolutely opportunity for things to go a little poorly for us. So with that, we will skip to the end of the game, see how it ended, and then we will come back and we will do a quick little review. So the game actually didn't last that much longer than where I left it off. We eventually got here, and Black resigned. saying that he really wanted to try to cut off the stick, and once he was unable to do that, that he wasn't that he enjoyed the game, but he was done playing. And as I mentioned, this game was over. So let's take a look at the game. So this is for our friend here who played. He said, and I quote, "Do me a favor and rip up my play. No mercy." So he asked for it, guys. But anyway, let's take a look at how this game went. So it started off easy enough, and we did our standard Joseki, and we did this approach. And I even mentioned that I really like F16. This is a good move. Again, because we already have all of these third line stones. I like that there's a nice fourth line stone here. So this was a good response. We came back, and this is this is playable, but we would typically expect to see a move like this. A move that I see very frequently is this approach on this shape. Because we played the high stone, it's a little tough to protect this, and so this is a good natural extension off of your stone, and so this is a move that I see frequently. But either way, if you wanted to extend off the corner, I prefer playing a third line stone, again, to keep our stones balanced between third and fourth line, because later in the game, this becomes a more annoying approach if this is on the fourth line. But not a huge deal. We came back and took our corner, and this is where things started getting off the rails, because this is already breaking the rule of corners, then sides, then center. This is much too central of a move when we have this whole bottom area and this whole side, right? So this is just too central of a move, and perhaps my response was a little too strong here. I could have come back and played a lower stone, but this is a pretty natural answer to a move like this, and so he pushed to try to cut, which is fine, and then extended. We extended, and he jumped. And jumping to get strength is good here. We can jump a little farther, right? When we're extending off of two stones, typically, however many stones you have in your wall, you can extend the same number of spaces. So since the wall is 2 stones, he can move away 2 empty spaces to play. This is just a little close. I could have done something similar and crunched him in even more, but this is a good enough result. I didn't want to overly punish. And then black plays here. I like this move. It does kind of give up on these stones, right? These stones are going to be a big liability for the rest of the game. But this is a great shape point, so I'm not going to fault him too much for that. And so this is just me trying to claim more on the side while pressuring this group. And he slides in further. And so here we're just going to protect the cut, right? There are other options, though, because we can look at protecting the cut a little more proactively, because if we come out, maybe we start actually fully surrounding this group, and if he actually plays to take the cut, then we get 2 moves in a row on the outside. So that's worth mentioning, but keeping it simple, protecting our cuts, we protect our cut. And notice that I didn't play. We don't want these empty triangles if we can avoid them, right? So we played here. And of course, this is also going to turn into an empty triangle when he plays here and I have to block. We've got one here. But this is just a better shape point for the time being. And he came back, which I think is a good move. And then we played that annoying move that I mentioned earlier. And he came back here. So one thing that I noticed him do a lot in this game, and this is something I see, is just pulling a little too far back when you're trying to protect things. If you look at this and you're black and you picture what you want this to look like at the end of the game, right? You kind of want all of this to be your territory, right? You're not going to get all of it, but you want this to be your territory. So if you're going to be playing a move to help solidify things, don't play inside that line. Don't play in here, right? Because that's inside what you wanted your territory to be. You could maybe look at playing a move like this, or playing a move like this, right? Coming back, this is good shape, right? And this does secure the corner a little better. I just think it's a little too timid, but not too bad, not too bad. And then we decided that this was potentially getting too much, and I just wanted to reduce it a little bit. And I mentioned we can Hana in either side, right? Because typically what we would do is I would expect this and get this kind of response, and then we can jump out. All right, and this is a good reduction, right? He's still going to want to play a move like this, and we got in, we got out, we reduced. That's all we were looking for. Conversely, we can also do this on the other side, right? We can play here, and this is actually a little tougher for black. So maybe this would have been a better way to go, because we've got all sorts of Ataris, right? We can Atari and then connect, and he needs to come this way, and then we can get this Atari on the outside. So we get a lot of good forcing moves, and this leaves this group weak. But we decided to go this way because I expected him to cut and us be able to reduce this way. But he let us connect, which is a bit unfortunate, because looking at this, he now has two weak groups right next to each other. And this is an unfortunate way that the game can go, because if you've got two weak groups, the attacks are going to be pretty severe against them. They're going to be pretty easy to find for stronger players anyway. So here, black played this, and it looks like he's trying to connect up, but unfortunately, with these stones here, we can just immediately cut. And I don't see black surviving this very well. And even if he does, he's gonna have two groups that are just barely living. They're not going to be any points. We're going to fully secure the right. We're pretty much going to fully secure the left and the center. But realistically, one of these two groups probably dies here. And so I wasn't going to take this cut, but I did point out in the game, instead I said, okay, instead of doing that, let's make sure that we're strong over here first before any fights break out, which is a good thing to do, because black is still on the hook to fix this cut. And if that's the case, then we basically got this move for free, which is what ended up happening eventually. Right? I took a second move, and then he played this. So it's like we got these two moves for free by not taking that cut. So it's not like we didn't benefit somewhere on the board. And now we went to reduce the top side. And I like this response by black. I do like this response. Typically, if we want to fully pressure the stone, we can look at this diagonal, but I don't think black's going to be able to contain this. There's just too much empty space. So I like flying out and getting ahead as much as possible. And so we matched that speed. And then here, this was a big miss, I think, because he still wants to take a look at these stones. And so he can now look at something like this that threatens to pressure the open space that we have over here, while also threatening to surround this. This move just kind of is in the middle of nowhere, right? And it gives white some time to just do whatever he wants. And in this case, I decided to reduce here and strengthen that group a little bit. This may have been a little too greedy. Perhaps we should have done something like this to go and connect here. This is probably a better move for this situation. This one's a little too greedy. He threatens to cut, we connect. He threatens to cut, we connect, and he goes here. And we now are saying that his group is weak and that we're going to go pressure it. Again, we could have and probably should have just done something like this to help strengthen this up, or continue coming out and build this up. This probably would have been a more basic response. But I wanted to show that we can go and attack this and potentially pressure this lower. But he's like, nope, I have none of that. You have your own target that you have to worry about. And he's right. He's absolutely right. And I was like, you want to know what? You are correct. We're going to do this. And then strengthen over here, because acknowledging that this stone can also create some difficulties here, I want this stone. So this next move is another example where he falls back a little too much and plays an empty triangle doing it. And granted, the response that I'd expect is also an empty triangle, but this at least gets him one more point. And, if we get this later, it doesn't come in Sente. So this was a little bit of a miss. Anyway, we just continue pressuring and do these little exchanges. And he then fully forms the stick and then goes after it. And what a great plan. What a great plan this was. It looks like he knows how to attack well for a 12K. So I'm happy to see this. Both this move and then when he eventually plays E10 shows that he's got some good ideas on how to attack groups. And I'm not gonna lie, I had trouble reading this once he played this, right? We can look at something like this and giving up these stones. We're still ahead enough where we can do it. But honestly, I thought that this was going to work easily enough because we'd be able to get this stone and we would be able to break through. He's got too many weaknesses here. But I misread it, right? And once we go here, I played this. He could have Atari'd and Atari'd and Atari this way. Now this stone's captured, and we can look at something like this, right, where we go and Atari that, and then connect up here. But then we're cut off here, right? So maybe we have to come back, and instead of doing this, we have to connect here. But then we're cut off here. So there were some opportunities for black here that he was really close to finding. Unfortunately, he Atari'd this way, which fixed the cut that was setting all of this up. And from here on out, the game is pretty much over because white can get through, and that's really that, right? We obviously have a ton of points here. This group's dead, so that's alive. We're out here, and it's pretty much just end game, and the game ends a few moves later. But I do want to highlight, I really like this move. This is a really good move. Really good move. It doesn't work here, but the concept of this, leaning on a strong stone, right? Because if we do something like this, and now he gets to play here, like, we're surrounded. We probably break through easy enough, but maybe not, right? We can look at stuff like this. It's not easy. This is not trivial for white to live here. So I really like this. We did not respond that way because I didn't want my group to die, and then we fully connected up. We're fine. Unfortunately, he then plays some Gote moves. Right, we're really able to take advantage of that. This is a Gote move. This is a Gote move. Right, we're never going to go after this stone. If I wanted that stone, I just would have taken it here. I wasn't interested in it. I wanted to build up the side more. So we need to give up this stone. This stone is not worth saving. But we get another Sente move, and we get this. And then here, I don't know what black was looking for here. This threatens to really disrupt what's going on over here. Right? I mean, just the one point jump that we did eats a lot of points, while K17 it's a 0 point move. It doesn't really do anything. And so that's pretty much how this game finished. We played another one of these empty triangles. We really don't want to see these. We really want to maximize the points. We're going to no reason to come back to F2. That should be your point, right? So we can play G2. And so then we take S18, big point, and we play this, and this is where our friend resigned. But I really enjoyed how he played. I think he played really well. I think he needs to focus a little less on the center, more on the sides. He needs to avoid his affinity for empty triangles because there's too many of them. But his attacks, the way he attacked this group was really good. I mentioned in my intro video for this series that we have to acknowledge the fact that when things start getting tricky, I'm going to win the fights. In this case, I can very much see him winning this fight against somebody else who is his rank because his fighting skills look pretty good. So it's cheating a little bit by me saying, oh, this is a good move, but then it didn't work. But it could have if a stronger player then took the wheel after playing a move like that, because that's just a good move. Both of these two attachments that he did were really strong moves. So that is where we are going to leave it for today. Thank you for coming out on another bus ride with us this afternoon, and thank you for coming out for another ride in Struggle Bus, where every wheel is an empty triangle. Have a good one, guys. Before I let you guys go, I want to thank all of my Patreons. I greatly appreciate your support, and if you are interested in getting teaching games and or reviews, or just want to look to support the channel, check out the Patreon. I have some good rewards there, and they're nice and affordably priced. Either way, you don't need to do it. Just watching the videos is enough. So thanks for coming out for another ride in the struggle bus where every wheel is an empty triangle. Have a good one, guys.